Welcome to the Manhattan Project. This is day
8. I said it this time.
Good one.
Speaking of good things, tonight we went to go see Good Time. Check it out.
So let me narrate this part for you. Evan and I, we go to the Regal Union Square and we see an inconvenient sequel. Check out, stay tuned for the review of that. But then we saw Good Time after that. And we paid for both of them even. We didn't even movie hop.
We didn't get a chance to vlog.
We're about to go see Good Time, but we're seeing this trailer for Home Again first. Crazy. So, we have to report a crime. We're leaving this 11 p.m. movie, so it's after 1 a.m.
It's like, this is like a very criminal film. There's like a lot of crime in this movie. Yeah. Tons.
And we just saw someone leaving the theater steal a pair of 3D glasses, like reach into a box and take some.
Like unopened.
They really got in the spirit of the movie.
It was so fluid. It was just like, it was almost as if this heist was planned. Like, it's too, I'm gonna stake it out. Like, I'll go see a movie at night, and then like on my way out, I'm gonna grab
3D glasses.
Good shit. After hours at the Regal.
Good Time is the new feature film by directors Benny and other guy, Safdie. They're brothers and they direct. It stars Robert Pattinson, premiered at Cannes this year, and it's a crime film about a guy desperate to make a couple bucks over the course of a long night so that he can bail his brother out of jail. Take a look at the trailer.
First thing, I gotta come clean with you about something.
What?
So I told you about my brother, yeah? I told you about the program he's forced to attend and how he shouldn't be there.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Do you understand that?
No.
Something happened. I don't know exactly what. My brother's been arrested. He's being held at Rikers Island. He could get killed in there.
Sorry, we just have a client that walked in.
We good?
You get another 10 grand, your brother will get out.
Where are you? How much money can you get right now? Come on, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me? What do you think I'm doing this for? I want to get him out tonight.
It's very neon and synthy.
Yeah.
What did you expect going into this movie, Evan?
Other than Neon and Cynthia, I was kind of looking forward to this. I've only seen one other movie by these directors, which I hated, completely hated.
Apparently, I saw that movie too, and I don't even remember. I just repressed the memory. I
Right,
guess.
that's what happened. But it's just there's a lot of energy in the trailer, and I thought if they could pull off that kind of energy for like 80, 90 minutes, then I'd probably like it.
Good Time, while loses some points for being a pretty much morally bankrupt time at the movies, is a really good time, featuring electric performances, really cool direction, a phenomenal score, and some of the most intense, interesting, unexpected, and just blackly comedic plotting I've seen in a movie all year, or maybe even all of last year either. So that's like a kind of unelegant, really long opening sentence way, because it's 1:30 in the morning right now, which is a good time to see this movie. It's a great midnight movie. It's a really unelegant way of me saying this movie is super entrancing from the jump. It's really fun. It's really abrasive. It's super alienating if you get the wrong audience. I think I was the right audience for almost all of it except for the end, but we'll get there. Much more good than bad for me in this movie. Much more. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think this movie, going to see it at 11 p.m., being potentially tired, it really gave me so much energy. Like John mentioned, the comedic aspect of it. Darkly humorous doesn't necessarily start that way. The movie starts off with probably its most expensive shot, like a really cool helicopter shot, and then it's like really in your face. It's all close-ups the whole time.
It might be a drone though.
Probably a drone.
Deceptively.
Could be a drone. It's all close-ups. It's all this intense stuff. It really opens the movie trying to make you feel some sympathy for Robert Pattinson's mentally challenged brother, which John said this movie is morally bankrupt. It is questionable to the extent that this movie uses the old trope of like the only way we can feel bad for Robert Pattinson is that he cares about his brother, who obviously needs some help to navigate the world.
It's very of Mice and Men.
It's very Mice and Men. In fact, Robert Pattinson's name in this movie is Connie, and I thought it was Lenny the first time I heard it, and I was like, that's weird that they would even do that.
It's too much, yeah. But it's literally about like Robert Pattinson, a kind of sneaky, criminal, kind of sleazy. Sleazy might not be the right word, but kind of a sneaky guy takes his large, mentally handicapped brother on one big job so that they can escape off, instead of living with their grandmother anymore. They can take this bank robbery money and then go live on their own, so that his brother can, just be who he wants to be and not deal with the loudness of New York City. Because as this movie points out pretty well, this movie does a really good job of like huge sensory overload. It's so loud and it's so bright and it hits you with so much stuff. And I think it really is supposed to give you that vibe. I read something about this being like one of the best New York City movies to come out in years. I don't know if I'd go that far, but New York City is usually well in this, and I think the movie really wants you to get in that mind space of, not necessarily just for the mentally handicapped character, but also for this frazzled Robert Pattinson character who's struggling so hard to just stay away from the police and get the money. That just like there is so much in New York City. It is, all the elements are against you. It's just craziness.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But the direction style keeps up with that, is what I'm saying. Like I really like when a movie can back up thematically the reason why it's putting really extreme direction forward. And for me, I felt like the extreme direction in this movie was always pointed in a way that fit the way we're supposed to be identifying with the character. You're supposed to be just as frazzled as he is, I think. And I dug it.
We're not the first people to mention this, won't be the last, but the score in this movie is really awesome. It's not hugely unique. It's very reminiscent of most of the best Tangerine Dream scores. So if you've seen Thief or like Manhunter, a lot of like Michael Mann stuff, heavily synthy, but like John says, it brings an energy to it that the film itself thematically justifies. The film, wants to have this really like nervous but also sort of like fluorescent, like it's the middle of the night, you should be asleep but you're like wide awake feeling to it. And that, I think, the score is really responsible for upholding that tone, especially just like when they're driving or stuff like that, where you could get into a lull in the movie. It brings you to an artier place, perhaps.
And it's funny, when I saw the trailer, I kind of rolled my eyes as a little much, but I saw all like the neon and all the fluorescent imagery, and I was like, okay, this is going to be one of those hyper stylized movies. It's not as hyper stylized as you'd expect, or at least it works even better than your average hyper stylized movie, if that makes any sense, because the pieces fit together in a way that feels very natural, even though it's frenetic and random as hell. And what I mean by that, what I'm saying is like Robert Pattinson goes to a hospital. There's a jail scene. There's a scene where they're in a haunted house with all this like whatever the hell that black light shit. Like all these moments, they literally go into environments that are very sensory overload, that are very fluorescent, that are very bright. It's not like literally the color correction in this movie. It's just a guy sitting in a car and all of a sudden it's all neon and shit like that. And like there's a great moment in the beginning with paint, right? All stuff like that. It's just like it's a movie that has a strong sense of color palette. It's got a strong sense of style and of look. But the look actually fits in quite well with the way the movie's plotted. And again, that's just something I don't think I see as much as I would like to when I go and see movies. I love when movies have character, and we see a lot of movies that have character, that have a distinct look. But a lot of times it's just because the director wants his world to look that way, which is fine. This, I actually bought that Robert Pattinson, his world had to look this way at moments, because there are moments in this movie that aren't fluorescent. There's moments that are very dark even. The 16mm helps a lot, or whatever it's shot on. It looks like 16mm, it might be 35.
Oh, this is one thing to point out. Like John said, how he almost rolled his eyes in the trailer. The one thing in this movie that didn't quite click, that felt like a little bit too self-aware, is actually just like the opening titles, the like Good Time, it like looks like Kanye shades. Only because it's so self-aware of this being a midnight movie, this being like a sweaty 70s style thriller. And I almost wish the movie just ignored that, because I don't like to think of this movie as being an homage to anything, although it is, and it certainly has its role to play in New York set movies and stuff. I think it's better when it's just being itself than trying to fit into anything else. Not that the movie does it that often, but that's like one small thing that, for whatever reason, took me the wrong way.
While we're on that, I guess I'll say the other bigger issue I had with this movie before we get to the wrap-up, which is that I don't like the way it treats black people. And this is weird because we just started this YouTube channel. I feel like people probably hate me that every review it seems like I have another fucking liberal-ass shit to say about how offensive a movie is. But there's something weird that there's very little substance at the end of this movie. They do try to say something. They do try to make a point of like what this journey was about, and how even though it ends in a messed up way, it ends in the way it should, or rather like the way that was inevitable, but that's important. Like, and I like the very final moment the movie ends on. But there are a couple things that Robert Pattinson does throughout the night where you're having a good time, right? Like it's a lot of fun watching him just do anything he can to survive. Just the way he lies to so many people, the disguises he puts on, the way he can manipulate people, like it's all fucked up and fun. But just the ultimate conclusion for particularly two characters who both happen to be African American, where he exploits in a way where I'm like, that's not really fun or funny, and the movie just ends it on a note where, it's just kind of off to me. I don't know exactly what they're quite trying to do there, and I maybe just a little oversensitive, but it just seemed odd to me when a movie is like Coen Brothers-y, it's darkly comedic, it's punishing its dumb characters, and I'm all for that, and this movie does that, right? It's a character who's committing crimes and getting punished for those crimes. He keeps digging his hole even deeper because he's making the wrong decision each time. He's never coming clean. I love that. But then you treat a couple characters in a way where they just get really fucked over or like hurt bad, and they're not bad people at all. Like it's just two really innocent people that come in the way of that, and it's stuff like that where I'm like, I don't know why that's quite necessary. It's where, again, I say the movie's slightly morally bankrupt in my opinion, because while, like I said, it tries to go for something in the conclusion, it doesn't try that hard. It really mostly is trying to be a fun crime movie, and if you're going to be a fun crime movie, I don't know why you need those moments. Do you know what I'm saying?
So I actually just saw, walking into the theater, in an interview with Robert Pattinson, that he describes his own character as a psychopath, which fits the way he manipulates people, that he doesn't have much empathy. I wouldn't say the movie necessarily treats him as a psychopath, specifically the way we see him reacting to some of the people that he rips off. And like you said, that's kind of part of the problem of the movie, that it semi-addresses these things and semi-builds it into the point of the movie, but not enough. It doesn't commit. So either the movie could have committed harder and shown more of that process going on in him and more of what's happened to the other people and built that into the themes of the movie, or just done what a lot of movies do, which is just ignore it for the sake of consistency of the tone. So I think that's a little bit of the problem, is that the filmmakers are too sensitive not to put anything in there, but they didn't go all the way.
Well, especially like the I'm the Captain Now guy from Captain Phillips, Abdul Dahali or whatever the guy's name is. He's in this movie, plays a security guard, and what they do with his character, it's one of the more fun and funny, intense scenes, his whole sequence. And then the ultimate conclusion of what winds up happening in that character, what Robert Pattinson does to this guy, is kind of fun and funny and fucked up. But then after that's just the end of it, there's no comeuppance, you don't even hear again, from that guy. I don't know, it starts to irk me a little bit. It makes me feel a little off, where I'm just like, I'm all for watching this character fuck up and bad things happen. It's a movie that wants to make you uncomfortable in a fun way, but I'm starting to become uncomfortable in a less fun way. Right. And that takes away from my enjoyment with the movie. It's what knocks this movie down from like, a 9 or a 10 to like a little bit lower. But aside from that, in wrapping up, I will say, it's just so much fun. It's so well paced.
It's very funny. The observations about people are very funny. I think that's the style of humor it is. There's not that many like punchline jokes, but we were laughing so much about like, wow, that's like a person that we believe exists.
And so many of the small details, so much of the dialogue. Jennifer Jason Leigh pops up in this movie. So many of the moments are just so fucking weird and specific, and they feel like the kind of shit that you don't see in movies near enough, but like you see in real life way too often, and it just is like I don't know, these brothers just have a really, I know they didn't write it, I know one of them wrote it, and then and he wrote it with his writing partner, they didn't, whatever, but they have a real knack for like gross humanity in a way that really reminds me of like shit that we haven't seen filmmakers do since like, the Coen brothers changed movies a lot, or like it's so Quentin Tarantino. This felt a lot like watching an early Quentin Tarantino movie, or like Kevin Smith, or any of those other like 90s, Lars von Trier or whatever, any of those 90s directors. I think it's worth a lot of praise. I think they do some really, really interesting stuff. I love the way it depicts Long Island, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, all that good shit, especially since we live there right now. The movie gets a full recommendation for me if you are the kind of person that can handle some very dark material, and very abrasive material too. Don't see this shit if you're like having a headache. It is loud as hell. Give it a watch though. One of the better things I've seen, if not the best thing I've seen all year, as far as a pure entertainment spectacle, enjoyment factor, just different. Just like I love when a movie's different. This movie is different. That's my pick.
So this movie is like weird European candy you got from your friend when you went on vacation. It is different than what you've had before. If you eat too much of it, you'll probably be sick. But when you do eat just like that one candy bar, it is awesome. It is amazing. It is so much different than candy you've had. And next time he goes back to visit his grandparents, wherever, you ask him or her to bring back more of it. So
you're pretty much saying like a 3.5 out of 4.
3.5 out of 4.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We are the Manhattan Project. We're setting out to review a new movie every single day, so we'll be back tomorrow with another review, and then the next day,
and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then...